USC Film School. I didn't know anything about making movies. I was an anthropology major, and I went there my junior year and was interested in photography, was interested in going to art school.
George Lucas is the iconic filmmaker behind a few of the most iconic film franchises, such as Star Wars and Indiana Jones. His films changed the entertainment industry's landscape with special effects and huge production. In the process, his company amassed a fortune. Despite his wealth and success as a filmmaker, he is a lover of children and one of the most private celebrities, especially concerning his love life. Join us as we explore George Lucas's love life with the ordinary Black woman and their children's lives. Failed love story. The love story between George Lucas and the Black woman Mellody Hobson won't be complete without revealing his past relationships. George met his first wife, Marcia Lou Griffin, a film editor, in 1967, and they both served as apprentice editors on the film Journey to Pacific. They later married in 1969 and settled in California, where they rented a house for $120 a month. George's fascination with children led him to create Star Wars, and Marcia worked as an editor in the film, earning her an Oscar in 1978. As the years passed and their films became more successful, they earned more money. According to The Guardian, George secured tight merchandising deals for Star Wars, earning him 4 times the amount he made as a writer and producer. He invested his money into creating Skywalker Ranch, a sound design, mixing, and audio post-production facility in Northern California on nearly 5,000 acres of land. Marcia was tasked with monitoring their new development, but she was also tired of George's hustle mentality and how he was all work and no play. She wanted to take trips to Europe, while he wanted to build an empire. He told Rolling Stone, "It's been very hard on Marcia living with somebody who is constantly in agony, uptight, and worried off in Never Never Land." They adopted a daughter, Amanda Lucas, since Lucas was a workaholic in 1981. Unfortunately, Marcia had an extramarital affair, which led to the breakdown of their marriage. In 1983, George announced that he was taking a 2-year break to focus on his family. After 14 years of marriage, Marcia filed for divorce during the production of Return from Jediah. He had to pay her an estimated settlement of $50 million. Sources reported that George was granted full custody of their daughter, who was 2 years old then. Following his divorce, Lucas was in a relationship with singer Linda Ronstadt in the 1980s. They got engaged, but things didn't work out. George stayed single for a long time because he was worried about women being attracted to his wealth. George, wanting to grow his family, adopted 2 more children on his own, a daughter, born in 1988, and a son, born in 1993. When speaking about being a single father of 3, he told The Guardian, "I love them much more than I love making movies." What did his kids grow up to be like? Do you think George gave up on love? Who was this ordinary Black woman who changed George's perspective about love? Keep watching to find out. The Ordinary Black Woman. Mellody Hobson is an American investor, businesswoman, and financial educator. She was born into poverty and made it her mission to escape, be successful, and help others manage their money better. Hobson is the co-CEO of Ariel Investments, a Chicago-headquartered investment management firm, and she has also worked as Starbucks' chairperson of its board of directors since March 2021, and previously was the chairperson of DreamWorks Animation. She sits on the boards of several big companies and organizations, frequently appears in the media, and is regarded as one of the most influential people on the planet. Hobson was born in Chicago on the 3rd of April, 1969. According to Hobson, her mother was a single mom, already had 5 other children who were much older and struggled to make ends meet. Hobson told Harper's Bazaar that her mother made really bad financial decisions that resulted in them getting evicted or left without electricity or a phone line. It was these experiences, she said, that made her become obsessive about managing money, a passion that later led her to pursue a career in finance. Hobson's struggles at home also encouraged her to embrace school and education. In the past, she's been quoted as saying she would cry if she couldn't go to school. Hard work and good grades eventually led Hobson to the Promised Land, an Ivy League university. She studied international relations and public policy at Princeton and apparently spent a lot of time in the library. She also interned and worked at various investment firms. After graduating in 1991, Hobson took a job at Ariel Investments, run by fellow Princeton alumni John W. Rogers Jr., overseeing client services and marketing. She then quickly moved up the ranks, becoming president in 2000 and co-CEO in 2019. Hobson said she was drawn to Ariel, a Chicago-based company that manages the assets of individual and institutional investors through its mutual funds and separately managed accounts, because its founder, Rogers, was a wunderkind. It was the first Black-owned money management firm in the nation. At Rogers, she found a mentor and the perfect platform to achieve the financial freedom she yearned for. Hobson advocates financial literacy and education. Over the years, she has taught courses, spoken at events, and worked in the media to share her knowledge with the readers and viewers of America's broadcasting companies Good Morning America, Columbia Broadcasting System News, Black Enterprise, and more. Her articles and videos help educate millions of Americans about finance while raising her profile as one of the most influential people in the business. She plays an active role in her local community, particularly in the education sector. Over the years, she has served as chair of After School Matters, a nonprofit that provides Chicago teens with high-quality after-school programs, and as director of the Chicago Public Education Fund, which is tasked with ensuring that every child in Chicago has access to a world-class public education. So, how did this ordinary Black woman meet George Lucas? The beautiful encounter. George met Mellody Hobson at a business conference in 2005. She told the Boomerang website they chatted about the movie business and exchanged information. 1 year later, George reached out and told her he was headed to Chicago to give a speech and wanted to know if she would be in town. Mellody told him, "I'd love to have dinner." From there, they embarked on a long-distance relationship after their initial meeting because Mellody lived in Illinois and George was based in California. However, they still managed to see each other every weekend. Mellody makes connections in the political world and makes hefty donations to the Obama campaign. Her involvement brought George out of his shell. Before he met Mellody, he rarely left the editing room to participate in the outside world. But as her partner, he was hobnobbing at several White House events. Some of Mellody's friends regarded her relationship with George as the perfect match because they shared the same drive and passion. After dating for several years, the pair announced their engagement in January 2013. They married in June of that year at a star-studded ceremony at Lucas's Skywalker Ranch in Marin County, California. "We have the same values." Star Wars was written for 12-year-old boys to teach them right and wrong. Hobson told Vanity Fair about the couple's relationship in 2015. "By values, I mean what's right and what society expects of us." Just a few months after their marriage, Lucas and Hobson welcomed their daughter Everest via surrogate in August 2013. She is the first biological child of both parents. Lucas also shares a daughter, Amanda Lucas, with his ex-wife, Marcia Lou Griffin. After their 1903 divorce, he adopted daughter Katie and son Jet as a single parent. Before we unveil their children's lives, let's look deeper into George Lucas's background and career. George Lucas's early life. Lucas was born and raised in Modesto, California, the son of Dorothy Eleanor Lucas and George Walton Lucas Sr. His family attended Disneyland during its opening week in July 1955, and Lucas remained enthusiastic about the park. He was interested in comics and science fiction, including television programs like the Flash Gordon serials. Lucas's father owned a stationery store and had wanted George to work for him when he turned 18. However, Lucas wanted to attend art school, but his father said he wouldn't pay for it. Upon leaving home, Lucas declared he would be a millionaire by 30. Long before Lucas began making films, he yearned to be a race car driver, and he spent most of his high school years racing on the underground circuit at fairgrounds and hanging out at garages. On the 12th of June 1962, a few days before his high school graduation, Lucas was involved in a car accident. His lungs were bruised from severe hemorrhaging, and he required emergency medical treatment. This incident caused him to lose interest in racing as a career and inspired him to pursue his other interests. He attended Modesto Junior College, where he studied anthropology, sociology, and literature, amongst other subjects. He also began shooting with an 8mm camera, including filming a car. Through his interest in autocross racing, Lucas met renowned cinematographer Haskell Wexler, another race enthusiast. Wexler, later to work with Lucas on several occasions, was impressed by Lucas's talent. "George had a very good eye, and he thought visually," he recalled. Lucas then transferred to the University of Southern California School of Cinematic Arts, also called USC. USC was one of the earliest universities to have a school devoted to motion picture film. During his years at USC, he shared a dorm room with Randall Kleiser and classmates, and they became a clique of film students known as the Dirty Dozen. He also became good friends with fellow acclaimed student filmmakers and future Indiana Jones, and collaborators Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese. After graduating with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Film in 1967, he tried joining the United States Air Force as an officer. Still, he was immediately turned down because of his numerous speeding tickets. The United States Army later drafted him for military service in Vietnam. He was, however, exempted from service after medical tests showed he had diabetes, the disease that claimed his paternal grandfather's life. His career is inspiring for someone who started from scratch to become one of the richest filmmakers in Hollywood. His career. Lucas saw many inspiring films in class, particularly the visual films coming out of the National Film Board of Canada, and fell madly in love with pure cinema, and quickly became prolific at making 16mm non-story, non-character visual tone poems and cinema verite. He was passionate and interested in camera work and editing, defining himself as a filmmaker instead of a director, and he loved making abstract visual films that created emotions purely through non-narrative structures. In 1967, Lucas re-enrolled as a USC graduate student in film production. He began working under movie and logo designer Saul Bass and film editor Verna Fields for the United States Information Agency, where he met his first wife, Marcia Griffin. In 1969, Lucas moved back to the San Francisco Bay Area. He co-founded the studio American Zoetrope with Coppola, hoping to create a liberating environment for filmmakers to direct outside the perceived oppressive control of the Hollywood studio system. Coppola thought Lucas's Electronic Labyrinth could be adapted into his first full-length feature film, but it was unsuccessful. Lucas founded a film production company, Lucasfilm, in 1971, and incorporated as Lucasfilm Limited on the 12th of September, 1977. He founded the Star Wars Corporation Incorporation as a subsidiary to control Star Wars' various legal and financial aspects in 1977, including copyright, sequel, and merchandising rights. It also produced the 1978 Star Wars Holiday Special for 20th Century Fox Television, and directed the successful American Graffiti in 1973. That year, Lucas hired Los Angeles-based real estate specialist Charles Weber to manage the company, telling him he could keep the job as long as he made money. Lucas wanted the company's focus to be making independent films, but it gradually grew from 5 employees to almost 100, increasing middle management and running up costs. In 1980, after Weber asked Lucas for $50 million to invest in other companies and suggested that they sell Skywalker Ranch to do so, by the same year, the corporate subsidiary had been discontinued and its business was absorbed into the various divisions of Lucasfilm. Lucas founded Industrial Light and Magic in 1975. He wanted his 1977 film Star Wars to include visual effects never seen on film before. He then set his sights on adapting Flash Gordon, an adventure serial from his childhood that he fondly remembered. After the success of American Graffiti and before the filming of Star Wars, Lucas was encouraged to renegotiate for a higher fee for writing and directing Star Wars than the $150,000 United States dollars agreed. He declined to do so, instead negotiating for advantage in some of the as-yet unspecified parts of his contract with Fox, particularly ownership of licensing and merchandising rights and contractual arrangements for sequels. Lucasfilm has earned millions of dollars from licensed games, toys, and collectibles created for the franchise.
The first film, which was always Episode 4, A New Hope, in order to write that, because I wanted to start in the middle, which I like to do, I had to write.
The original Star Wars film underwent a tumultuous production. During editing, Lucas suffered chest pains initially feared to be a heart attack, but a fit of hypertension and exhaustion. Lucas's effort during post-production for the film and its subsequent sequels caused strains on his relationship with his first wife, Marcia Lucas. It contributed to their divorce at the end of the trilogy. The success of the first Star Wars film also resulted in more attention focused on Lucas, both positive and negative. This attention attracted wealth and fame, but also many people who wanted Lucas's financial backing or just to threaten him. Following the release of the first Star Wars film, Lucas worked extensively as a writer and producer, including on the many Star Wars spin-offs made for film, television, and other media. In 1983, Lucas and Tomlinson Holman founded the audio company THX. Lucasfilm formerly owned the company and contains equipment for stereo, digital, and theatrical sound for films, as well as music. Having lost much fortune in a divorce settlement in 1987, Lucas hesitated to make additional Star Wars features. However, the prequels, which were still only a series of ideas partially pulled from his original drafts of the Star Wars, continued to tantalize him with technical possibilities that made it worthwhile to revisit his older material. When Star Wars became popular again, Lucas realized there was still a large audience. His children were older, and with the explosion of CGI technology, he began to consider directing again. In 1997, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Star Wars, Lucas restored the original trilogy. He made numerous modifications using newly available digital technology to bring them closer to his original vision. The films were re-released in theaters as the special editions. The first Star Wars prequel was finished and released in 1999 as Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the first film Lucas directed in over 2 decades. Following the release of the first prequel, Lucas announced that he would also be directing the next 2 and began working on Episode 2. The first draft of Episode 2 was completed just weeks before principal photography, and Lucas hired Jonathan Hales, a writer from the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, to polish it. It was completed and released in 2002 as Attack of the Clones. The final prequel, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, began production that same year and was released in 2005. In 2004, Lucas reflected that his transition from independent to corporate filmmaker mirrored the story of the Star Wars character Darth Vader in some ways. Still, he concluded he was glad to be able to make his films the way he wanted to. From 2008 to 2014, Lucas also served as the creator and executive producer for a second Star Wars animated series on Cartoon Network, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which premiered with a feature film of the same name before airing its first episode. In January 2012, he announced his retirement from producing large blockbuster films and instead refocusing his career on smaller, independently budgeted features. With the sale of Lucasfilm to Disney, Lucas is currently Disney's second-largest single shareholder after the estate of Steve Jobs.
I'd just like to say how honored we are to be here today. This is a prestigious organization, and we're very much supportive of.
In 1991, the George Lucas Educational Foundation was founded as a nonprofit operating foundation to celebrate and encourage innovation in schools. The foundation's content is available under the brand Edutopia on an award-winning website, on social media, and via documentary films. Through his foundation, Lucas was one of the leading proponents of the E-rate program in the Universal Service Fund, enacted as part of the Telecommunications Act of 1996. George and Hobson remain committed to charitable work. In 2010, the pair signed the Giving Pledge, created by Warren Buffett, Melinda French Gates, and Bill Gates, as an invitation for billionaires to publicly commit to giving the majority of their wealth to philanthropy, either during their lifetimes or in their wills. My pledge is to the process. As long as I have the resources at my disposal, I will seek to raise the bar for future generations of students of all ages, Lucas wrote in his 2010 pledge letter. Lucas and Hobson donated money to New York University to found the Martin Scorsese Institute of Global Cinematic Arts in 2021. The school described Lucas and Hobson's gift in a release as the largest in the school's history. George and Hobson's children. In an interview with co-host Charlie Rose, Lucas opened up to Columbia Broadcasting System this morning about fatherhood in 2015, explaining its impact on his work. I gave up directing to become a dad. For 15 years directing, I ran a company and was an innovator, but it was not doing what I like to do, which is making movies, Lucas said. It was one of those things where you don't expect it to happen, but it was like lightning struck me once I was a dad. The dad of 4 also made it clear where his priorities lie. When Rose asked him what he would want his obituary to say, he responded, "I was a great dad," or "I tried." Here's everything about George Lucas's children: Amanda, Katie, Jet, and Everest. Amanda Lucas, born on the 1st of July 1981, is the eldest of George's children and was adopted by George, and his ex-wife Marcia is 43 years old. Amanda is a professional mixed martial arts fighter. Known by the nickname Powerhouse while in the ring, she has gone on to win many deep matches against Japanese veteran MMA fighters. In 2013, a documentary was released about Amanda's profession. Titled Lucas, the documentary detailed Amanda's life growing up and her journey into the world of MMA. I think I never really measured up to the other kids, and so when I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, that was kind of what got me into wanting to do this, she said in the trailer featuring her famous father. I didn't know much about mixed martial arts until a few years ago, the Star Wars creator told the camera. I was surprised when she came to me and said, "I want to do this." I said, "Well, okay, you do what you love." On the 11th of July 2014, Amanda and her husband Jason welcomed their first child, a son named Felix. Baby Felix has arrived and is healthy, she posted on X along with a photo of the newborn. 8 lbs, 3 O's, 10 fingers, and 10 toes. Thanks everyone for all the love, Amanda and Jason. George Lucas adopted Katie as a single parent in 1988, making her his second child and daughter. She is 36 years old. Following a similar path to her father, Katie is an actress and screenwriter. She has had several roles in the Star Wars trilogy. In 1999's The Phantom Menace, she portrayed Ami, a friend of young Anakin Skywalker. For the role, she was credited with an alias of Jenna Green. In Attack of the Clones, she played a purple Twi'lek girl named Lune Minx, and in Revenge of the Sith, she made a cameo as Senator Chi Ikwe. Later in her career, Katie penned several episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Katie has made lots of red carpet appearances besides her father. One of their first pictured red carpet moments is from the 75th Diamond Jubilee celebration for the University of Southern California School of Cinema Television, which took place in September 2004. Since then, the father-daughter duo stepped out at the 2017 LACMA Art Plus Film Gala, honoring Lucas's work in the film and television industry. Jet Lucas, George's adopted third child, was born on the 17th of February, 1993. He is 31 years old and the only son of Lucas. He has had several roles within his father's productions and the wider Star Wars franchise. Like his older sister Katie, Jet made small appearances in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. He played the uncredited character of Zet Jukasa, which is a clever play on his name. Jet also worked in the visual effects department for The Mandalorian as a visual effects production assistant for the first season, which premiered in 2019. Showing his support for the franchise his father created, Jet was a celebrity guest at the Star Wars Celebration Convention in Anaheim in 2012. To celebrate the 4th of May, 2018, the month and date known as the official Star Wars Day in popular culture, Jet posted a sweet tribute to his family. "My father has it, I have it, my sisters have it," he wrote in the caption. "The 4th is with me, and I am one with the 4th. The 4th is with me, and I am one with the 4th. In August 2013, Lucas and his new wife Mellody Hobson welcomed a daughter, Everest Hobson Lucas, born via surrogacy. Everest's birth made Lucas a father for the 4th time at 69. During the same year as his youngest daughter's birth, the filmmaker decided to sell his film and television production company, Lucasfilm, to Disney. The deal was made for $4 billion. The sale ended his active work with the Star Wars franchise since he created the series with 1977's A New Hope. He told Business Insiders that he was looking forward to retirement, and a new chapter of his life would be committed to devoting more time and resources to philanthropy. "I made that decision because I looked at the future. I looked at the fact that I was going to have a baby. I looked at the fact that I was married, and I looked at the fact that I wanted to build a museum, and I looked at the fact that I wanted to make experimental films," he told Columbia Broadcasting System This Morning in 2015. "So my life was going on a different track, so that started that ball rolling." Despite being extremely rich, George announced that he is donating the majority of his wealth to programs that improve education. He created the George Lucas Educational Foundation to fulfill his promise, and Mellody is a charity board member. Together, they continue to donate their time and resources to causes that are important to them. George and Mellody celebrated their 9th anniversary in 2022, and based on recent pictures taken at charity foundations, they appear to be as happy as ever. George said he was attracted to Mellody because she was really smart. What are your thoughts on George and Mellody Hobson's love story and their children? Let us know in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. You can also click the other links on your screen for more videos.